What was the origin of the Brecker Brothers band? When did you guys decide you were going to work together?
Well, that came in late '74 into '75, and I've told the story many times. I'll try to tell it as quickly as possible. But we had a band, Dreams, together, '71 and '72. Then we kind of rejoined Horace in '73. Then Billy Cobham hit kind of big, so we joined Billy's band for a couple years, and then I started writing. I was also friends with Dave Sanborn, who I had met at that aforementioned Stan Kenton band camp when we were 15. And Dave had just moved to New York from Woodstock. He was in town, and we had stayed in touch all those years. We were pretty close friends. And I had the idea of writing for a three-man horn section, me, Mike, and Sanborn. So I just started. I hadn't studied composition or arranging, but I was just, everybody was writing in those days. And I had a keyboard, I had a piano, I had an electric piano, and most of all I had a clavinet that I loved. So I just, with pencil and paper and ping-ponging two cassette recorders, I started writing music for that instrumentation. And we get together and rehearse. Don Grolnick, Will Lee, and Chris Parker lived in the same building, so we used one of their pads to rehearse. Grolnick was also writing stuff. Steve Kahn, who was also at these rehearsals, lived close by. He was writing stuff, so we were rehearsing all this stuff. We were all writing. I actually had an intent to do a solo record and call it Randy Brecker, featuring all these guys. I had 9 charts when I was finally done, including Skunk Funk, etc., etc. And a gentleman named Steve Backer called up, who had just signed a production deal with a new label called Arista, which was run by Clive Davis, who he knew from Dreams when he signed us to Columbia. And it was actually Steve who said, if you call, I'd heard about this music you're writing, and I was just getting ready to do a demo. He said, if you call this band the Brecker Brothers, I'll sign you immediately. You won't have to do a demo, you won't have to shop it. And at first I resisted because I wanted it to be a solo record. I said, well, we have to think about that because, first of all, there's 3 guys in the front line. Sanborn will look funny as be a long-lost cousin or something. But it was such a nice opportunity. The 2 of them, they talked me into it, and I don't regret the decision. It was a good name. We had never even... Imagine that. We've been playing together for 8 or 9 years by that point. Maybe not that long, but a good 7 or 8 years. And nobody ever coined that phrase. We never thought of it. Brecker Brothers kind of rolls off the tongue. So I said, okay.
Something so iconic, man, and that happens so often that it wasn't your idea.
Yeah, it was just happens.
Yeah, generations of.
Yeah, and a little addendum to that story. So we recorded the 9 tunes. I remember once Clive came to the rehearsal too. It was Harvey Mason on that tune, drums, and all the aforementioned guys, and we had Ralph McDonald in percussion. As a complete joke, we counted off Skunk Funk really fast. Like it was just a joke, and we played it, and everybody laughed at it. It was pretty funny. Of course, we ended up playing it like that eventually. But the thing that actually sold the record, and that's pure happenstance, is the fact that I had a meeting with Clive, and he, in his Clivean way, mentioned that we needed a single, and I said, no, look, you're already calling it Brecker Brothers. It was supposed to be my solo record. I just wanted it to be all these 9 tunes. That was the intent. It sounds great. He says, well, it does sound great, but you guys need a single. And his own way, he intimated that he wasn't going to put it out unless we did a single. So here we go. We were in a tough spot. We went back to our little rehearsal studio, and the force was really with us. I don't know how else to say it. In 3 hours or 4 hours, we jammed up a tune. Everybody had little ideas. Oh, let's do this here, let's do that there. Will added a part. And the tune was called Sneaking Up Behind Me. And we went in the studio, recorded it. Clive heard it and loved it, so stuck it on the record. And that's what they pushed, and that's what really made us, quote, famous, was the fact that that tune went up the R&B charts and the urban music, whatever they called it back then. It got up to about number 2. And Brecker Brothers Band, people thought we were brothers in that sense, and we got on a lot of R&B shows, opening for Parliament, Funkadelic, Chaka Khan, and that's what really sold the thing, not Skunk Funk and all the stuff I had written. But that eventually caught on, the whole thing. But we had the advantage of having a hit single, which we tried to recreate in the next 5 records, and it never happened again.
Adam, when you were a kid, did you listen to the music of the Brecker Brothers?
I did, yeah, totally. I can't remember what record. You know, I was, as a lot of guitarists were or are. You know, we started out playing rock, so I was into like Hendrix and P-Funk and Led Zeppelin, and I think it might have been maybe heavy metal bebop that someone turned me onto, and I went, wow, what is this? It sort of has the vibe of the music that I understood, and this other, you know, these other levels of sophistication. It really kind of blew my mind. I didn't understand it, like the parts of it that weren't just rock, but it was one of the sort of important early influences in my becoming a jazz musician, along with Weather Report and, like, you know, Bitches Brew and Jack Johnson, because I think it led a lot of, you know, Mike and Randy helped a lot of people sort of understand jazz music better, you know, because so many, I mean, young people like myself in the 70s who kind of understood rock and were coming from that, and the combination of the real organic combination of jazz and rock music, which I would, you know, it's one of the ways that I would describe the Brecker brothers. It's really jazz rock. It's like real rock and real jazz, and that struck me very hard, I think partially because it really had the power of rock music, you know, so I got that, and then the sophistication of the, you know, harmonic and melodic and rhythmic sophistication of jazz that excited me, and, you know, I didn't understand it. That, as I said, along with Weather Report and various other things, led me to trying to figure out what was going on with jazz and start to listen to Charlie Parker and Miles Davis. So, you know, Randy and Mike were hugely influential in that way.